In today's video, I'm in Uplistsikhe. It is a mountain village near Gori in Georgia. There is 3 mountain villages in Georgia. This one is the oldest one, dating back long before Christ. And it is also the biggest one and the most well-preserved one. Besides that, it's around 1.5 hour drive from Travelvlog, so it's also the one that most tourists visit. From what you can see behind me, you might already be thinking that this area looks very much like Cappadocia in Turkey, maybe like Meteora in Greece, or like Belgrade, Czech in Bulgaria. And they are also similar in some ways with the unique stones. Let me compare it to Cappadocia, which is the one that most people know and most people compare it to. This part is made of sandstone and Cappadocia is made of the tuff stones. Besides that, there's around 1,002 kilometers between Uplistsikhe, where I am now. Sorry if I don't pronounce it correctly, I really tried to learn it. And Cappadocia, which I do know that I pronounce correctly, because I do live full-time in Turkey. Even though they're very far apart and they are made by 2 different kinds of stones, they have many similarities. Both areas has churches, both areas build their kitchens in the same way with these pits in the ground and chimneys on the top. They have had storage rooms everywhere and they have had wine cellars in both areas. If people actually traveled from Cappadocia to Uplistsikhe or from Uplistsikhe to Cappadocia to tell them about how they were building, I don't know. Historically, and from archaeological excavation, we believe that this area has been inhabited from around 1,000 years before Christ and up till 800 years after Christ. So it has been inhabited for almost 2,000 years. After that, they stopped living here because the Mongols, the Persians, the Arabic and the Turkish invaded the areas and they had to flee. In the beginning, they were pagan. They were sacrificing animals. We know that because there's different pits where they sacrificed the animals into. They actually became Christian 200 years after the rest of Georgia. Georgia became, as a country, Christian around the 2nd century, but up here they didn't become Christian until the 4th century. Now, one of the most noticeable buildings here is the church you see up behind me. It is the newest building still standing. It's also the only building right now standing that is not built directly out of this sandstone. Originally there was around 300 caves here, but in 1920 there was a big earthquake that destroyed a lot of the caves and the areas, and today there's only around 150 left, which is still a lot. There is 2 important things to see once you're up here. One of them is behind me, the Queen Tamara Hall, and the other one is the theater. Everything else is a mix of houses, the old pharmacy, the churches that are very broken, or the church that is from the 14th century and still standing, but looks like a modern church and therefore not so much fun to see. I am now inside the Queen Tamara's Hall. It is the biggest room in the entire complex, so we believe they had their feasts in here. Originally it was held up by 2 big pillars that has collapsed, and therefore in 2017 the National Bank of Georgia has donated a new pillar here and in several other parts of the cave city. Up behind me we know that the chiefs of the city has been sitting. Over here on my left side there is a wine storage area, and on my right side there's either been a kitchen or an area where you could keep the whole building, the rooms, hot. A fun thing to see in here is the inscriptions over here on the wall. Again, appreciating history and how it looks today is a newer thing, something we do today. So before this had just been a cool place to hang out, and therefore you will see a lot of inscriptions. There's inscriptions here both in Georgian, in Cyrillic and in Arabic writing, and some of them are dating more than 150 years ago. We also believe that this has been a place people were hanging out. The shepherds were using this one before it became a museum. Young people might have had a party here, and since it is so close to Gori, where Joseph Stalin is born, there's also some theories that him and his revolutionary friends has been hanging out here and plotting their big revolution. This is my 4th time visiting this cave city. As you may or may not know, I am a tour leader. I travel in Georgia with Danish groups. That's not the point. The point is that I want to tell you that it's almost always windy up here, which is also why I have tried to speak most of this video inside the cave, so you can actually hear me. I'm not even sure how much you can hear what I say right now. The part that starts up here next to the church and that I'm walking on right now, down to the theater, is the original main street of the city. If you go from here over to the right side, you can get over to the theater. The most interesting part of this area is the theater part, the part that I'm right next to now. You must remember that this area used to be a part of the Silk Road, and the Silk Road was not just one road, it was many different roads that spread out. They were trading different goods on the Silk Road, but they were also exchanging culture, and the whole theater culture most likely came from Greece. So someone from Greece ended here, told them how they were doing theaters in Greece, and they thought it was a great idea to get one here too. Today there's only the stage building left. It is a very beautiful area, but before there was also the seating area for the guests. Unfortunately, that one collapsed in 1920 as well, so you can no longer see any part of that. One good thing did though come from the earthquake in 1920, which is the water in the river rise, which swept away an area, and then they found a residential area under it that they did not know was there, because when most people lived here, there lived around 18,000 people here. So they could of course not all be up in this part of the city. So where I'm standing right now, that is the theater. There is the ceiling, very beautifully decorated, and behind me has been some kind of changing room or storage for the things on the theater. It is also held up by modern pillars, also donated by the National Bank in 2007. That I'm standing in right now. In today's village, I am in Uplistsikhe mountain village near and some people just want to yell louder and louder when you make videos. The most interesting part, for fuck's sake, do you have to yell so much?